sliceofsci-fi.com.
Hey Slicers, this is George Chase over at Hypno Comics here in Ventura, and I am with Wendy and Richard Pini, the creators of ElfQuest. So we're going to talk to them a little bit about this awesome American fantasy book that's been around for, how long has it been around?
35 years this year.
35 years this year. I started reading this in '84 when it was under the Epic banner, and loved it, still do. Looking forward to what you guys have coming out in October. So for the people, we got a lot of new collectors. You know, a lot of young people are coming into the industry, which I love. Tell them a little bit about ElfQuest. Who wants to just give them the premise?
ElfQuest was the beginning of a lot of things. ElfQuest was the first comic book series in America to be influenced by manga and anime, which at the time, to me, made a lot of sense design-wise, because the manga and anime style lends itself very well to fantasy. And our characters were action characters as well, and manga lends itself well to that too. So it was a serendipity to choose that.
Yeah.
Oh heavens! We did everything wrong in the beginning because we didn't know any better. We just wanted to get this thing out there. So we produced a comic that was black and white when mainstream comics were in color. We priced it at $1 when mainstream comics were 12 or 20 cents. It was fantasy. Nobody knew what to do with fantasy.
And God help us, it was drawn and written by a woman.
That was my next point. I mean, she is the creative lightning bolt behind this, and comics was then, and still to a large extent, is a boys' club.
True.
These days, even though there are more women in it than ever before.
Yeah.
It was also the first independent comic to make a real big splash in the direct market and then the newsstand market.
Now, it came out with Warp Graphics to begin with.
That's our company. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And in fact, we still own it. We have licensed it. We licensed it to Marvel for reprints. We licensed it to DC in the early 2000s, and now we're with Dark Horse. We are independent. We are not isolated.
Gotcha. Love creator-owned stuff. Epic was a creator-owned banner for Marvel back in the day.
Sure, because they were becoming aware of how many creators were stepping aside from the mainstream comics to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, let's rope them in some other way.
So did you see going from, you know, trial and error is great, and that's usually how a lot of creators start. Like you said, you did everything wrong, but you're here 35 years later.
And we're just finding new things to do wrong. That's all it is. It's a continuous evolution.
That's true.
So, yeah, don't let anything discourage you. Just keep making your books. So you guys went with Warp, black and white, to the Epic banner with Marvel in color, and then you were with DC. Now, forgive me, I don't remember that. I loved everything in Epic. I loved it in Epic. I was an Epic junkie back in the day. So
we are the kings of recycling material.
Kings and queens.
I don't know, there's some other
Kings
publishers
and
out there
queens
that do that.
of recycling material. The first appearance of ElfQuest in color was actually by another smallish company called Donning Starblaze in 1981. They put the first 5 issues together between covers, colored it, and got it into bookstores like, at that time, Borders and Barnes and Nobles and Brentanos and all of those. And that was a small nuclear explosion in the bookstore market.
That's right.
Nobody had seen graphic novels in bookstores before, not like that. There were some collections of old comics, but not new graphic novel material. And they sold like gangbusters.
Good, yeah.
And once the bookstores saw that, then the bookstores began to say, hey, is there any more like this out there? You got any more like that at home? So we like to say, and there's not too much hyperbole to it, that if you go into the Barnes & Noble and you see the big graphic novel section, ElfQuest started that.
Yeah, props. Props to the Pinis for that.
Now, DC, again, did a series of archive books. They also did these small, they were trying for the manga market, so they were doing the smallish paperback books like the manga books that were all big a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun because I got to take the artwork apart and reformat it. Back in the day, back in the 70s, it was kind of a style in comics to load pages with panels and lots of word balloons.
Yeah.
Pages were very crowded back then, and I followed that motif. So being able to take the art apart and put maybe no more than 3 or 4 panels per page to do the manga for
To make it in
DC.
that smaller format.
Yeah, it really enabled it to breathe.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
it was fun to do that.
Oh, yeah. Maybe give you an opportunity to go back and like do some, you know.
I did, because there were points at which I had to either lengthen a panel or add more material because I took a balloon out,
Right.
and so people got a different reading experience. with
Different
that.
pacing.
Exactly, different
Good.
pacing.
I like, yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about, you guys are now with Dark Horse now.
Oh, yes.
October 9th, I think, is
Yeah.
your
Yes.
special. One shot's coming up. So for the people who, like I said, are younger coming into this, who don't know much about, you know, Chief Cutter and his Wolf Riders and stuff.
Well, that's why we've done a prologue, which is being called the Dark Horse Final Quest Special.
Right.
Which is coming out October 9th and premiering at New York Comic Con.
Okay.
And the purpose of the prologue is it's a 60-page graphic novel,
Nice.
which reintroduces old-time readers to the characters and what they've been doing and what is likely to happen now.
Okay.
But it also really sets the chess pieces on the board for people who have never heard of ElfQuest before.
That's good.
You get to know a lot of the characters in their natural habitat, interacting with each other, and without being hit over the head with a hammer and being told what's happening.
Yeah.
You get a real idea of the relationships and who cares for who and who's against who, and
So
you know,
this is going to be a great jumping on point for new
Yes,
readers.
it really is.
Refresher for us older folk.
Absolutely, I would describe it that way perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have that. You can use that. Put it on the book. So, you guys just got back from Comic-Con too.
Yeah.
All right, everybody's decompressed before Comic-Con. It's fun. We love it, right? We love
It was.
What do you think, Wolfie?
It was. Yeah.
Wolfie thinks.
Yes. It was intense, as all Comic Cons lately are.
Right.
But it was an incredible experience for us.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Really.
We celebrated ElfQuest's 35th anniversary there.
And
Congratulations.
he gave the ElfQuest slideshow of his life.
Really?
On his
That's right.
birthday.
It's like I feel like Olivier, you know, after doing the perfect Hamlet. I don't know what I did, and I can never do it again.
Lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle. We had some great panels. We did our first signing at the Dark Horse booth, and God, we love those people.
Dark Horse is a great company. I'm a big supporter of what they do. I love that they have a lot of creator-owned stuff.
Well, they get us because they come from that background.
Yeah.
When we were with DC honestly didn't know what to do with us. They didn't know how to market ElfQuest. They didn't understand who ElfQuest's audience was.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a fantasy genre,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't fit into their mainstream, and maybe it would fit under their Vertigo banner.
You never heard of it.
Yeah, the DC, no. See, look at that. Wolfie growling at DC. That's right.
But see, Mike Richardson goes all the way back to the early 80s in the independent market,
Yeah.
independent comics, and we've known him for that long.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of quietly courting us for a while. And when it came time for us to make our next move, our next big move, we had some good discussion with Mike and Dark Horse, and ultimately went with them because they've got plans for ElfQuest that are blowing us even away.
Good.
And we
good.
share a little history with them. They made some fabulous merch for us, some lovely ElfQuest ceramic figures that are practically sold out, we're told.
Oh, really?
So, and we're talking about doing more. So,
Yeah, they do some nice figures. They do the collector tin ones.
Yes.
The little statues with the buttons, which is a great line for them. But as far as the creator-owned books that they're, I don't want to say grabbing up, but they're putting out some you know, like Dream Thief is good stuff, and
Yeah.
this is a great segue into your Edgar Allan Poe thing, because they have Richard Corbin doing all these Poe adaptions.
I know, but I got to tell you, Mask was too hot for them.
Was it?
They
Was it?
passed.
Oh, Dark Horse,
They
come
passed.
on.
No, we're talking about hot.
Yeah, I
We're
got
talking
it. I got you.
Incandescent.
So, Mask of the Red Death is...
Well, as Richard explained to you earlier,
Yeah.
ElfQuest was optioned by Warner Brothers in 2008, and Warner Brothers kindly asked us not to do anything with ElfQuest for the period of 4 years of the option, because they just wanted to keep the property consolidated. And so I had this 4-year period where I could do another kind of project, and Mask of the Red Death, based on Edgar Allan Poe's short story, had been something that had been percolating with me for a long, long time, because I got to do everything in it that I can't do in ElfQuest. Mask of the Red Death was just an 8-page short story by Edgar Allan Poe with really no specific characters in it. However, the wonderful skeleton of the story was there, and I'd always been fascinated with it. So I just added a lot of characters and a lot of juicy interaction.
Juicy.
And
She's not being metaphoric.
no, I'm not. and one of the interesting aspects of it is that it's a yaoi. Do you know the word yaoi?
No.
Okay. It's a Japanese word that basically means boys love, which means the stars of the story are a gay couple of gorgeous males. And yaoi is rising in popularity by leaps and bounds right now among the female audience in America.
Okay, good.
So I did it for them.
Good,
It is the
all right.
great American yaoi. And the most exciting thing about it is that it is now being developed as a Broadway-style musical.
Somebody's got to pick this up. It's 400-page epic, right?
Yes, yes, and when they pick it up, they'll pick up a musical too.
You heard it here, right here, Slicers. Look for that. The Mask of the Red Death, epic 400-page graphic novel coming someday, right, from some smart publisher, and the Broadway musical. So, that's great. I like to ask our guests when they sit down and chat with us, and I appreciate you guys coming up here.
And Wolfie too.
And Wolfie. Wolfie looks like
And
he's
your little dog, too.
crashing. You're right. What are you reading nowadays in the market that you're just totally digging on?
Oh,
That's a tough
good
one.
Lord.
The number one answer for you not is like, we're just too busy making stuff.
Well, you qualified it by saying in the market.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go first.
We met, these many years ago, because we were both fans of the same comics, and we actually met through the comics.
Oh.
She wrote a letter into Silver Surfer number 5 in 1969. I
And
liked
back
the
then,
letter.
they published addresses.
You know, the fan letters pages had mailing addresses, you know, and so
Creeping.
Creeping.
yeah.
So I got
But
500 letters.
Stalking was much more difficult then. You didn't have the internet.
Cost
So
of postage stamp.
I liked the letter, and
Hmm.
I wrote to her. Come to find out, so did a couple hundred other guys, because she was one of 3 girls in the world who was reading
like
comics.
comic books.
But she liked mine, and she wrote back. We started a correspondence. We eventually got together. We were both fans of comics back then. This was Marvel in the late 60s, early 70s. We began ElfQuest in 78. And when you work at something, at least this is true of me, when you work in something, you don't then go home and play with the same stuff.
Right.
Yes.
We were doing comic books, and
Yes.
so I turned to other pastimes to, you know, in my spare
Offset
time.
what you're doing
To
during the day.
offset.
Yeah.
So I know I haven't, and I think it's true of Wendy as well, we haven't been reading a lot of recent comics. Now, I can say, I'll give you 2 titles right now
Okay.
that just blew me away, maybe 3. One was Marvel's.
Mark Waid, Alex Ross? Or is it?
It was Alex Ross, but I think it
Oh,
was
Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come was...
Kurt Busiek
Yeah.
and Alex Ross.
Marvel's is great.
Another one was Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Mark Waid. And the third one I just saw out there was Darwin Cook's New Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
These are incredibly, wonderfully creative reimagining of long existing stories.
Agreed.
But it's that twist that these creators gave to those stories that hooked me.
Right.
A lot of what's going on now, I'm sorry, you can hang me up to dry.
They're busy making an awesome book. All right?
We're busy
Don't
doing
judge.
that. But it's not what we remember comics being.
Yeah.
So we're doing our own.
Good.
You know?
Good. No, I think that's where a lot of voids get filled in the industry is, I think that something's lacking here. I'm going to step up and produce and fill the hole.
Well, for me, I come by my interest in comics by way of animation.
Right.
I was always an animation fan from the time I was so high. And discovering anime and manga just solidified that, because there is a very cartoonish aspect to the drawing style.
Yeah.
So to this day, I still enjoy reading some manga, and there are some anime I still enjoy watching. But that is probably the extent of my serious comics reading.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's fully understandable. Now, if you like that now, what was it, back in the mid-'80s, you guys were with Epic at the same time that they were putting out the Akira book.
Yes.
Yeah. So that might have been a nice little coupling for...
Well, I think that it sort of helped people realize, because, when ElfQuest first came out, a lot of people were like, what's this? They had never seen, they were completely unfamiliar with the Japanese manga style.
Yeah.
And so, what's this? The eyes are too big, the men look like women, they're all short.
Which is why we published it ourselves, because we took it to Marvel, we took it to DC, we took it to a couple of independent publishers. They didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then here comes Dragon Ball Z in the mid-'90s, and all of a sudden there is a craze for anime and manga like you've never seen, and ElfQuest becomes more relevant than ever, because it's just like, oh, well, this is manga.
Yeah.
Everybody looked at it that way, and suddenly we were cool again.
You were cool again, and you were around for, 30 years, and you're like, where have you guys been? Anime Expo, another huge convention. Did you guys go there?
I went last year, didn't make it this year. It's just too many cons this year.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of conventions going on, and that's another thing. How do you guys feel about geeks and nerds being so mainstream nowadays?
Well, first of all, I don't like those words
enough.
any more than I like some words they use for other
Gotcha.
sort of fringe
I'm
groups.
profiling.
Yeah. Now, there are plenty of people who do like our friend Stephanie Thorpe and Paula Rhodes proudly admit that they are girl geeks.
Yeah.
And they like that. But I've never liked those words.
Okay, so let me rephrase.
So,
how do you feel about this medium and art form that we are all into being as mainstream as it is now? And I think it's successful. That's just I like it.
I honor Big Bang Theory, and it's what now 5 seasons for making making it happen.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you.
If there's one source of making geekdom cool, it's that show.
It is.
And so it's been a big change, and a lot of people I'm going to say it, have been literally coming out.
Yeah, right.
That would have been ashamed of their hobby.
Yeah.
They are out and they are proud,
Yeah.
and I love that, because other groups are coming out and proud too.
Yes, that's great.
So
that's great. Yeah, there are some retailers and other creators that just don't like Big Bang Theory. I personally, if we're going to keep this sort of hobby and medium going, you need new people. Mm-hmm. You need new people. You need younger people, and if it takes a show like Big Bang to bring them in, then I'm all for it as a retailer. Hey, Wolfie, how's it going?
He's a knee licker.
So the other thing that I like to touch on is, we support creator-owned, we support local artists here. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give any up-and-coming or young creators if they're trial and error, anything?
You go first.
Well,
okay.
We get asked this a lot.
Yeah.
Because people look at our success, they look at our fame, and they ask us, how can we do like what you did? And on the one side, we're all for, just like you, we're all for everybody taking their shot.
Right.
Rise or fall, but do it. Don't sit on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just get out there and do it. The flip side of that, however, is when we started in '78, the direct market was brand new. Mm-hmm. There was nothing out there in terms of independent comics, very little in the way of independent comics. We had a wide open field, and we went into that field and exploded it, and we've never looked back. Mm-hmm. But that was print, There was no such thing as the internet.
Right.
Everything that
We
we got in
depended
the
on
way of
word of
publicity.
mouth.
Yes, word of mouth. And what we say now is, well, you can't do it the way we did it.
Right.
The world is
It's
just
different.
way too different.
Right.
But you have tools, you have opportunities, technologies that we could not have dreamed of 35 years ago. And just put yourself out there using those tools and, you know, cream rises.
True. Yeah. So I mean, the internet obviously is a huge tool for all creators.
Absolutely, that's the way we launched Mask. We knew that just bringing Mask out in print was going to be a bit of a risk, and so we started it online first as an animated webcomic, and also as a graphic novel pager, and it helped gain quite an audience for it.
And you guys did something digital with ElfQuest too, didn't you?
Sure did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
During that hiatus, that 4-year hiatus, when Warner Brothers said, don't put out any new books,
Right.
we were faced with a problem because the print books were going out of print. Our inventory was almost down to nothing. And yet, people were saying via email and on the different Facebook and whatever, where do I find your books? I've got issue 5, but where do I find 1 through 4? And I thought to myself, this is not good. Right about then, I think it was Marvel was just starting to get into the microeconomics, the micropayment thing of putting an issue for 99 cents out there. And I looked at that and I thought, all right, but you know, that's way too much work for me. I have limited resources up here.
Gotcha.
So I said, I'm going to give him everything we've ever done for free. And I scanned or had help scanning something almost 7,000 pages
Wow.
of ElfQuest, both by us and by other people that we've worked with. And over a period of about 2 years, that stuff went online to the ElfQuest.com website, and you can go there, read everything we've ever done
Plug it.
for free.
Tell them where they can find it.
Yes.
It's ElfQuest.com, and it's really simple. You go there, there's a tab that says Digital Comics. You click on that, you have a table of contents. Knock yourselves out because it's all there, and you don't have to pay a cent.
And it's one of the smartest things Richard's ever done because it just helped to generate buzz all over again in a newer and bigger way, and to get us a lot of new readers who wouldn't have access to the comics otherwise.
So that solves the free digital problem for you guys. Now, going with Dark Horse puts together some really nice collected editions in the forms of omnibuses, hardcovers.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to do any collected ElfQuest stuff with them?
Oh, absolutely. When we started talking seriously with Dark Horse, and it wasn't much of a condition that we had to lay out because Mike Richardson came at us
Right.
with grandiose plans, and we do love grandiose. They're doing new material, most notably Final Quest, which starts in October.
October 9th.
They are very interested in repackaging the existing library. They don't want to make it look like what's gone before, so they've got some cool ideas for different page counts and different sizes.
Okay.
There are these absolutely glorious, huge artists' editions.
Artist editions are great.
Where you see the original art boards as they look.
Yeah.
And we've got every one of Wendy's. They want to do that.
That would be a great artist edition.
It's going to be a great artist
like
edition.
it.
We're already
All right.
talking about that. We're already talking about that. They want to do
White
the
out and
classic
all.
Yeah. No,
white out and blue line and mistakes.
Yeah, no, the
and-
artist editions, because they scan the black and white pages, but they scan them in full color.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it.
They also want to, this is something we were never able to do, but they're going to get ElfQuest digital through the Dark Horse comic apps. So you can read it on your iPhone and your Android and your Kindle and your Nook and all of those things. And probably 3 other things I'm forgetting. They're very ambitious.
Well, statues. right?
Yes.
Merchandise.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're talking about motion comics.
Motion comics are always cool.
This is true.
And,
Something else.
Let's see, what else?
As a brick and mortar guy, I'm excited about the print stuff.
Oh, yes.
Artist editions, especially. I mean, you see, we have them up there.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm a big supporter of that format. I mean, just because I do like to see the art before it's polished. And
We get email and communication from our fans all the time.
Good.
They love the fact that they can see it on their iPhone soon and their iPad and all of that. But as much as we hear about that, we hear, are you going to have print books?
yeah.
And we say we wouldn't do it if we couldn't have print books, because we're both
I love
bibliophiles as well. I like to hold something. I like to smell the ink. I
Tactile.
like to turn the
But-
page
Yeah.
and have it in my lap there.
If people want to see the original art, tell them where they can actually go see it.
Oh.
Is it on display somewhere?
Well, sort of, kinda. Comic-Con a year ago, we were approached by a representative from Columbia University in New York City. And they are building up a very, very impressive graphic novel archive.
Wow.
Chris Claremont donated his X-Men scripts and so on and so forth to that. And they wanted to know if we were interested in donating ElfQuest. And we said, yes. It provides an incredibly safe place.
Right.
It removes the question from our backs of what to do with it. And because I don't want to give it to my brother-in-law and then have it show up on eBay.
eBay, right? Yeah.
Oh, John's going to appreciate that one.
I know he is. Anyway, so we have started, and that's an ongoing process, scanning all of her art, very high resolution, very faithful, and then it's going down to the Columbia University Rare Book Library archives.
Very
so
nice.
students of the graphic novel form and of comics
Right.
will have access to all of her original art
Look at that.
at Columbia.
Donating that stuff, and
Yes.
giving all the other stuff free online. You guys are too generous. You're too generous.
Well, no, because hello.
Hi, Wolfie.
We've experienced tremendous payback. The elves have been very, very good to us in so many different ways.
Good.
It's ridiculous, but the best way is in people's gratitude. Just hundreds of people came up at San Diego Con thanking us for ElfQuest and actually telling us how it had affected their lives when they were young, and in some cases helped them through some very rough times.
Comic books can be a safe harbor.
Yes.
They can be a safe harbor. I'm a fan of that. I think that they can change people's lives.
Yes,
So,
they can.
Yeah.
Certainly changed ours.
Yeah. Yeah. They've changed many. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the comic medium for numerous reasons. So, do you guys have anything that you want to close with, say, to your fans, other than go to your local comic book shop online, October 9th, we're going to, ElfQuest is coming back, but anything closing you want to say?
John, I'm kidding.
No, he's not.
And I just want to say thank you right back to our fans and friends who have supported us for 35 years.
All right. Now, I want to say thank you, Richard and Wendy, for coming here and sitting down with us. I love to sit down, especially with creators that I enjoy reading. I'm sorry I missed the DC run, but I have all the epic ones. So thank you again. And Slicers, be sure to go to elfquest.com. Check out all the ElfQuest stuff that's online. Motion comics. Is there Motion Comics online?
We don't have
No,
Motion
that's not yet.
Comics.
Okay,
Not
I messed
yet.
that up.
The
Not
free,
yet.
the free comics.
Free
but,
comics.
But the elfquest.com and maskofthereddeath.com.
Yes. Mask of the Red
Both
Death.
of those sites, both of our major properties.
But don't go to a mask if you're under 18.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Just don't tell anybody you're doing it.
All right. Thanks. This is George from Hypno signing out, Slicers. Have a great day.
Sliceofsci-fi.com.